Warfare is undergoing a violent evolution, and it is not stealth jets or nuclear submarines leading the charge. Instead, the most disruptive weapon today often comes wrapped in low-cost fiberglass, buzzing across the sky on a simple piston engine. In Ukraine, the Middle East, and other flashpoints around the world, cheap loitering drones have outsmarted billion-dollar defense doctrines. And at the center of this stunning shift lies one unlikely pioneer: Iran's Shahed 136. It isn't beautiful, it isn't fast, and nobody would mistake it for cutting-edge aerospace engineering. Yet this single drone has forced the world's strongest military powers to rethink the meaning of strength on the battlefield. When advanced becomes impractical. For decades, war strategy assumed that the most advanced weapon wins. Nations poured billions into jets like the F-22 Raptor, a machine so advanced, quiet, and agile that it practically defies physics. But war does not always unfold in clear skies at 40,000 feet. It happens in muddy trenches, shattered apartment blocks, dense forests, and urban intersections. Try parking an F-22 next to an infantry squad and asking it to help clear trenches. It becomes an expensive statue. This is where Iran succeeded. Instead of building a miracle weapon for ideal battle scenarios, they built a drone that thrives in the ugliest, least predictable combat environments. They chose practicality over prestige, affordability over elegance, and mass production over technological purity. The messy reality of modern battlefields. To understand the Shahed's brilliance, you need to look at Ukraine. That war has become the real-world testing ground for drone combat on a scale never seen before. Soldiers are flying cheap quadcopters bought online and attaching grenades to them with duct tape. Commands are given from tablets and smartphones. One pilot rams his drone into another mid-air like a digital joust. Creativity replaces luxury, improvisation replaces perfection, and cost matters more than pedigree. In this battlefield chaos, the Shahed does not just operate, it thrives. It does not need satellite-grade stealth or secret propulsion systems. It only needs to fly far, hit hard, and be cheap enough that losing one barely matters. Iran built for the war that exists, not the war theorists imagined. The Shahed 136, simple, loud, terrifying. The first time someone sees a Shahed 136, they rarely recognize its importance. It looks like a rough workshop project. A gray delta wing airframe with a lawnmower-like gasoline engine strapped to the back. It flies slower than many hobby planes, and yet that is exactly why it works. The drone flies low, riding the terrain, avoiding radar systems designed to spot more conventional aircraft. Inside, it carries a warhead big enough to rip apart energy stations, ammo depots, radar installations, and command posts. It can fly across countries, across borders, sometimes across entire regions. Most importantly, it does not need to come home. Every flight is a one-way ticket, designed to smash into a target and explode on impact. Where other drones try to survive, the Shahed succeeds by dying in the right place. Warfare by wallet, the new calculus. The deepest genius of the Shahed is not its range or payload. It is its economics. Traditional air defense systems use missiles that cost millions. The Shahed can cost tens of thousands to build. So every time a Patriot battery fires to destroy one, the attacker has already won a financial victory. Iran does not need to out-engineer America or Israel. It just needs to force them to spend more money defending themselves than Iran spends attacking. Imagine sending 50 or 100 of these drones at once. Even if most are intercepted, a few may slip through. And even if all are destroyed, the defenders may have spent hundreds of millions to shoot down a swarm that cost a fraction of that to launch. This is not just warfare, yet it is economic attrition disguised as a buzzing drone, a weapon born from limitations. Iran did not stumble into innovation by accident. For decades, sanctions, isolation, and military disadvantages forced the country to rethink how it could compete with richer enemies. Iran did not have the luxury of building fleets of stealth jets or aircraft carriers. So instead, it built tools to exploit the weaknesses of those expensive systems. It invested in proxy fighters, in missiles, in guerrilla tactics, and finally in drones that multiply force at low cost. The Shahed 136 exists not because Iran could afford to innovate freely, but because it could not. Ironically, the very constraints meant to cripple Iran pushed it to pioneer a weapon that wealthier nations ignored for too long, from dismissed to desperately copied. When the Shahed first appeared, Western experts shrugged. It looked primitive, it seemed slow. It felt like a poor man's toy. But that arrogance evaporated the moment it started hitting power grids, fuel depots, and military bases. And doing so night after night. Soon, American generals were openly admitting the US needed a similar system. European defense companies rushed to prototype equivalents. China rolled out its own versions. Ukraine experimented with FPV interceptor drones inspired by the same logic. The Shahed had done what few weapons ever do, not just succeed, but force the world to imitate it. Copying is the sincerest form of military fear, the secret behind its longevity. The Shahed 136 isn't static. It evolves. Iran has modified engines, tested jet-assisted variants, upgraded electronics, swapped navigation chips, and added variants with cameras and intelligence packages. Russia has built its own models. China has blended Iranian ideas with its manufacturing scale. Each battlefield defeat teaches engineers how to make the next version tougher, cheaper, faster to build, or harder to detect. Unlike slow, bureaucratic military programs in large nations, this drone family evolves like battlefield software. Update, deploy, learn, repeat. That speed gives it a survival edge in a rapidly shifting war landscape. The counter-drone war begins. Of course, no weapon dominates forever. In Ukraine, Shaheds are now hunted by FPV interceptors, jammed by portable electronic systems, brought down by machine guns, and even struck by small aircraft performing sacrificial mid-air rams. Western militaries are experimenting with lasers, microwave weapons, anti-drone rifles, and AI detection nets. The next battles will not just be drone versus missile, but drone versus drone, algorithm versus algorithm. Still, the defenders are playing catch-up, because while they build elegant solutions, the attackers deploy brutal simplicity at scale. The new doctrine: cheap, many, disposable. The Shahed's success marks a new philosophy. Winning future wars is not only about precision, it is about saturation. Instead of investing in one super drone that must survive, militaries now understand they may need hundreds that do not. Instead of polished perfection, they will need tools that can be built fast, modified fast, and sacrificed without hesitation. That is not just an Iranian strategy, it is now a global one because it works. The era of accessible power. The Shahed 136 did not become iconic because it was the best drone ever made. It became iconic because it achieved what billion-dollar programs could not. It democratized power in warfare. A medium-power nation shook the military order by thinking like a startup instead of a superpower. Ukraine's battlefield tinkering, Iran's manufacturing strategy, and Russia's mass launch tactics all point to a future where innovation comes from necessity, not budget size. The drone era has arrived, noisy, cheap, relentless, and unforgiving. The nations that adapt will shape the coming decades. The ones who cling to old doctrines will learn the hard way that in modern war, the loudest, ugliest machine in the sky might just be the most dangerous one. And that brings us to the end of today's deep dive into the drone revolution reshaping modern warfare. If you found this video fascinating, make sure you hit like, tap subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new upload. Tell us in the comments, do you think cheap drone swarms will dominate future wars, or will high-tech defenses catch up? Your opinions fuel this channel's community, and we rad everyone. Thanks for watching, stay curious, and until next time, keep your eyes on the skies.